because sometimes when you land on your knees, you start praying. And when you start praying, you start crying. And when you start crying, you water the earth and you allow yourself a rebirth. And that is so super huge. Hey guys, this is Lovely, your infidelity and confidence rebuilding coach. Thank you for coming back. So, we're going to continue the conversation surrounding navigating betrayal's emotional landscape. We've already talked about shock and disbelief. We talked about anger and resentment. And we understand that there's a lot of work that we can do to not only build ourselves up, but to build safe spaces for us to have conversations about our feelings and our emotions. We understand that it is absolutely okay to feel your emotions, to live in your space of, to cocoon yourself in a place where you allow every emotion you are feeling to process, but you don't have to let it lead you during the process, right? So today we're going to talk about feeling a deep sense of betrayal and loss of trust. Lots of things we're going to talk about, right? And under that, we're going to talk about how betrayal erodes trust in oneself, in others, and the relationship as a whole. We're also going to explore feelings of sadness, insecurities, and vulnerabilities. We want to talk about the impact of self-trust and what it does for us and how we can continue to build on those things. But I also want us to, again, be open to tips and tricks, be open to, because sometimes you're going to trick yourself into really believing some shit is happening and some healing is happening when you don't really feel like it is, right? You're going to have to fake it till you make it in some of these cases, because we're going to have times where, because we don't trust ourselves or other people, we're going to have these moments of doubt. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So first, we want to understand the depths of the betrayal itself, right? How betrayal erodes trust in oneself, and other people, and in the relationship. When cognitive dissonance, right? Cognitive dissonance happens when the reality that is in front of you does not match what you have in your head. And depending on when it's happening, it affects your emotional health. It affects your spiritual health. It affects your physical health. It can affect your financial health, right? It has the ability to make you question if everything that you've ever had, decision you've ever made, is it a real thing? Like, is this really happening? Did I make this choice for myself? Did I pick this out for myself? How come I didn't see this happening, right? And it can cause you to have these super deep feelings of sadness, bring out so many insecurities that we thought we really worked on. It can make you feel very vulnerable, because think about this. If what's happening in your life causes you sadness, and you don't feel like you were able to take care of yourself, and you feel like you were left out in the open, would you not be sad, insecure, and feel vulnerable? Would you not? Because because if the person that you trust violates that trust, you're going to be mad sad. You're going to be mad sad. And if you aren't the person who was really building yourself up, if you weren't working on your healing journey, and even if you were working on your healing journey, if you don't have a strong sense of self and community, you start having these otherworldly conversations as if you are fourth, fifth, or sixth person. Did I really deserve this person? Should I have done more? What if I would have wore? What if I would have said? What if I would have did? I could have made them love me more. It's not about you, right? This topic is not about you. It's so much about a person's character. And that is the part that we really need to focus on. Like, it sounds like we should be just out here blaming. But the person who caused the infidelity or participate in infidelity also has some shit that they need to work on. So that's why I always talk about, I'm here to help you work on you, right? I'm not here to help rebuild your relationship. I'm not here to help you figure out if you should stay in a relationship or not. I'm here to help you understand you more so that when you ask those type of questions, you have a stronger sense of self and you aren't just out here taking other people's advice because you don't have trust in yourself, because you're not really great at communicating with yourself, because you don't know what your boundaries are, because you haven't worked on your confidence and you haven't worked on self-esteem, right? Those are the things that we talk about and that we build on and that we discuss in addition to the things that you've gone through. So that way, I'm always looking at all of this from an offensive standpoint, right? We're trying to build up skill sets so that as things happen in our lives, we understand that we are strong enough to go through those things. It doesn't mean that it does not bring you to your knees, because sometimes when you land on your knees, you start praying. And when you start praying, you start crying. And when you start crying, you water the earth and you allow yourself a rebirth. And that is so super huge, right? But a lot of us, we think that we have to be these strong creatures who never have to bow down, who never have to ask for help, who don't need anybody. We need people, right? We need tribes. We need people around us to help us feel protected, who can protect us, who shield us so that our emotions have a chance to seep out of our pores, and then we can get rid of some of those toxins and start rebuilding a life that we so surely deserve. So we want to also talk about the impact of self-trust, right? We want to discuss how betrayal often leads to self-doubt, what I spoke about before. How did I not see this coming? How did I not see this coming? Because you wasn't looking for it. And if you was looking for it, 9 times out of 10, you weren't waiting for it to come. You were waiting for it to come out, right? So let's just have a really big, like a big girl conversation. Sometimes we see shit happening and we don't want it to happen. So we think if we ignore that it's happening, that it won't be happening. But it's still happening, right? And I have had this conversation with so many close friends, right? And we see things, we feel things. Your intuition be standing up. She be fucking talking to everybody, right? Like, hey, so you don't see that? You gonna ignore that? Oh, you don't smell that? Oh, you ain't feel that? Uh-huh. And then what she do is that she go next door and she knock on Karma's door and be like, hey, I told her that some things was happening and she ignored me. And then Karma like start cracking her knuckles, come out on the porch, two-piece you. Now you trying to figure out, oh Jesus, why me? Why me? Well, because we didn't trust ourselves. And some of that stems from childhood, right? Because if you were never allowed to express how you felt, you were never allowed to, or even your feelings weren't validated as a child. You grew up around people who told you how they felt was how you should feel versus how you really felt. You may have some issues with validating your own emotions, with standing up to people who violate boundaries, people who violate your trust, people who want you to turn turn the other cheek. And sometimes you gotta turn your cheek, but that's as you swing. But I also, again, like I said in every video, I am here because you have to validate these feelings while emphasizing that trust can be rebuilt. You are allowed to feel your feelings. Your emotions count. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings count. Your emotions are valid, right? But how are you going to build on those things? How are you going to, fail forward? What are you going to do to really pin the lesson and learn the lesson? What are you going to practice doing so that if you ever wind up here again, your rebound is faster? You're able to make moves faster. You're able to see things faster. You're able to trust yourself hear your own voice throughout the, chaos that's happening in the world. And I don't want us to be stuck in woulda, shoulda, coulda, simply because we decided that we were going to ignore it and we were going to see how it plays out. Listen, I'm all for seeing how things play out if it's a movie that I'm going to watch, right? I'm all for seeing how it's going to play out if it's a recipe I'm trying for the first time. You know what I mean? But with my life, I need to have a little direction. I need to pay attention to what's going on. I need to listen out for the context clues. Because sometimes you be like, this sounds really fishy. And it smells like it too. Does it look like a duck and walk like a duck? It's a duck. This is a goddamn going duck, people, is what I'm telling you. So we want to really remember that invalidating our feelings, invalidating our emotions, invalidating our feelings, and validating our emotions. Let me say that so that it makes sense to me. That we're also trying to figure out how we're going to rebuild, pivot, and recreate the life that we absolutely deserve and that we desire. It is so damn important, right? And when we're going through a lot of these stages, we want to remember that self-blame show up like the pimp you never asked for. You didn't even know that you had gotten out the car. You were just walking. You were just trying to figure out how the hell to get on the M2. Here come pimp self-blame. If you had done a little bit more for that person, you would be where you need to be. If you had done a little bit more, if you would have wore that dress, if you would, don't you have a rock to go back under? My God. And then here comes this little sidekick, fear. Well, what if it happens again? What does all of that sound like? It sounds like a lack of trust, right? Because betrayal makes you question your ability to make rational, safe decisions for yourself. Listen, you really be out here at 3 a.m. debating after 4 or 5 hours if you gonna have chamomile tea or mint tea, because you don't trust yourself no more. It really be that deep. And people be like, no, it don't. It don't have to be that deep. It does get that deep, okay? Your emotional baggage that you carry around with you every day in your Fenty bag, it be heavy, okay? You got your cute lipstick and your cute blush. And then the rest of it is your emotional baggage that you be just carrying around, putting that indent where your bra be. We be just carrying it around. And how do we work on that? What do we do to work through some of this, right? So one of the things that I had to learn how to do for myself is that I had to really build self-compassion. My personality does not always have compassion built into it with regards to emotions. I have compassion when you are going through something and I want to help you get through that thing. But when it comes to my emotions, I was very sterile. I did not treat myself with the most kindness. I was very hard on myself. And I believe that I should have known better. I should have done better, but not in a victim way, but more in a, if you had a best friend who grabbed you by the front of your jacket and shook the shit out of you because you said, no, I think I want to call him again. And she said, go ahead. If you call him, I'm going to ring your bell for real. That's what it is. So sometimes when you are working on self-compassion, one of the best sentences that I was able to come up with, like I was really like writing this out and thinking about it. was, if a friend told me this story, how would I comfort them? Can I do that to myself? My answer was no, because I had a lot of conversations that I wanted to have with me. I wanted to pull me up to the chair and be like, I don't know who the fuck you. And then I remembered, hey, would you talk to your best friend like that? Like right when I'm about to give myself the business, I stop and go, hey, would you talk to your best friend like that? No? Okay, all right. So you're gonna need to take some deep breaths and we're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot, right? Because you have to use the same compassion that you would give to your bestie to yourself. Some of us don't know how to be our own best friend. Some of us don't know how to be our own best friend. All right? And some of us don't believe that our feelings are valid. And some of us don't believe that our emotions are valid. And some of us really believe that it was our fault. And some of us believe that if we had done better, we would have gotten better. And again, I'm going to say it to you, like I said in the last video, you could have done everything that they told you to do. I mean, hopped on one foot, barked like a dog, wore your hair in a particular way. You could have gone to dinner, not gone to dinner, done the hokey pokey, turned yourself about. And if that shit was going to happen, it was going to happen, baby. I know. Wipe your tears out. Wipe your tears up. I don't do the crying thing that well. It make me feel uncomfortable. I feel like I need to, step out of a room and just give you a glass of water. But yes, that's what we're doing, right? We're talking to ourselves like we would talk to our besties, because sometimes that's the only way that you can comprehend how rude you are being to yourself. So one of the things that you can do, a step you can take, an actionable step that you can actually take, is set small, achievable commitments to yourself and honor those daily, rebuilding self-trust, right? You want to say, hey, every day I'm going to look myself in the mirror, even when I don't fully believe it, and say, you are worth it. You are worth rebuilding. And then leave it at that, right? You're going to make sure that you brush your hair 2 or 3 minutes a day. Just standing, being as present. You feel the brush going through your hair. You can feel your fingers touching your scalp. You can feel yourself braiding your hair. Maybe you're like, hey, you trying to mess up with this wig. It's not what we doing. Okay, all right. You want to sit down. Sit on a chair. Take some deep breaths. Say to yourself, I am this shit. All up in here. Because I am this shit. All up in here. Yes, I am. Maybe it's the fact that you make sure that every day you take a shower, or every day you put on that special lotion that you like. Every day you look yourself in the mirror and you try to say something positive. Or every day you just remember that as you are meditating or praying or doing whatever you do to really pull in the positivity of the universe, that you remember how important it is that you bless yourself over everything else, right? And yes, you say, well, bless myself over God. If you are created in God's likeness, when you bless yourself, you show reverence to him. I know that a lot of us really have been told that we are second. If you are not here, you do not have any room to bless in or praise anyone, right? And I'm not saying that you are on the level. We changing. But when you bless yourself, when you're kind to yourself, when you're gentle with yourself, when you are honest with yourself, when you're vulnerable with yourself, when you can talk to yourself in the way that you would want to have your Savior talk to you, you're blessing them. I'm just saying, like, I like it. It just feels good. It feels good. Yeah. It feels good. Oh. So now we want to talk about establishing boundaries. Baby, I'm the boundary hunter is what I'm telling you, because I will establish a boundary, and now I will keep you in it. I will Tetris your behind. I will block you right up in that sucker, because what you're not going to do is violate a place that I set up a boundary for myself, and then I let you walk over that boundary, which means that I'm now letting you walk over me and I'm walking over myself. No, we're not going to do that. Hello, Auntie M. Have you seen Toto? Because that's where they think I'm going, to the land of the odds, baby. That's what they think. Anyway, so I want you to write a list of boundaries that you feel are essential to any future relationships that you have with yourself and others, platonically and intimately. Listen, the list of boundaries are to yourself first, then others, platonically, intimately. Write them down. Let's stick with 5 in each category, right? Because you really want to give you have to teach yourself these boundaries. You have to practice them every day, because you're going to violate the first 3 boundaries that you write down probably in the first 2 to 3 business days. You are, and you got to look back and be like, damn it. And you got to reinforce them and practice, reinforce, practice, reinforce, practice. And one of the best things that you can do is learn how to use I statements, right? I will not ignore red flags. I will not allow people to walk over me. I will not allow people to call me on my cell phone and talk down to me when I pay the bill. When you say it like that, Susan, why did you call me? No, I'm gonna have to block you. I pay this bill. The bills are too damn high for you to call me with your disrespect. I'm just saying. And again, we're going to continue to seek support, continue to build a tribe, continue to find people to help us through this process of understanding and healing from infidelity, processing out anger, processing resentment, processing shock, processing disbelief, fighting the urge to fight. I just had like a moment where I was like, if Mike Tyson retired, it might be time for us to retire too. You know, I'm just saying, we're getting older. Bones don't heal the way they used to. You probably swing, throw out your shoulder. Now you're going to have rotator cuff surgery because you was out here fighting when you could have just blocked them. You really could have. You could have really just blocked them. But remember, we want to have trusted friends, trusted therapists, trusted support groups, safe spaces for you to be able to blossom and have your emotions be validated, and to have your spirit be uplifted, and to have people who can be aggressively loving towards you so that you learn how to be aggressively loving towards yourself. And that brings us down to our affirmation for this video. And I really like this one. I am learning to trust myself and others at my own pace. My feelings are valid and I am worthy of love. Such a good one. I am learning to trust myself and others at my own pace. My feelings are valid and I am worthy of love. I am learning to trust myself and others at my own pace. My feelings are valid and I am worthy of love. I am learning to trust myself and others at my own pace. My feelings are valid and I am worthy of love. Man, sometimes them affirmations be giving me the goosies. They make me feel so good, right? And that is such a huge part of this whole conversation, because We all deserve to heal. We all deserve to heal in a way that makes us feel validated and understood. We all deserve to be in spaces and places that bring us joy and happiness, that help settle our souls, where we feel safe, secure, where we feel serenity when we sit down. And that's inside of relationships with ourselves and with other people, be it platonic or intimate. You know what I'm going to say. We're learning to articulate our feelings, wants, needs, and desires so that we can better advocate for ourselves and the people that we love. You guys be good. I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be talking about tools to help us with healing and recovery. I feel like that's going to be a good chapter. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.